So the question is, how do you keep a video game franchise relevant for more than 30 years? And the core of that answer is reinvention and a lot of experimentation, and that's precisely what's on offer here with Street Fighter 6. Capcom shot me out a review code, and I've been playing a ton of this game on my PlayStation 5, and I've been having an incredible time. It's pretty difficult to talk about Street Fighter 6 without just going bullet point by bullet point about all the features that were included in this game, and that's what the hype has been. That's what the PlayStation Showcase was a little earlier in the year, where they really outlined that this game is almost like a collection of 3 different ideas. You've got your World Tour mode, you've got your Battle Hub, where everybody's going to meet and play online together, and then you've got your Fighting Ground, which is kind of like a traditional Street Fighter core game. But that extension across the Battle Hub mode and the World Tour mode is really, really freaking remarkable. This is a game that is going to appeal, I believe, to longtime fans of this franchise. It's going to bring in a whole bunch of new players into it. It's a fantastic video game for single-player fans out there that want to get the most out of their fighting experience. And I thought that NetherRealm did some incredible stuff to extend the value of their single-player games, both in the Injustice series and in Mortal Kombat. But this is a whole other level.
Right?
And I'm going to talk about World Tour mode first, which is kind of like the City mode in the NBA 2K series. It's like a Grand Theft Auto Light. It's not all full open world, all the different destinations that you can travel to across the world map, but Nashal is the Asian-themed environment that you can cruise around in, and of course Metro City is the place where you start off in, which is kind of evocative of a New York City, complete with a Times Square alike. And this is the city that Final Fight takes place in, so this part of the game doesn't just evoke a lot of the open world types of experiences that are out there, but also it really is an homage to Final Fight, complete with a Mike Hager statue and stadium, which is really cool, and you're fighting all of these Mad Gear gang members with the boxes on their head, and it's really, really addictive to just cruise around and get into fights with anybody. And what's amazing about World Tour mode is that it's an RPG light, so you're leveling up and you're getting more powerful, you're meeting all kinds of legends from the Street Fighter lore and training with them and learning some abilities with them, so you're getting better, and you're also buying buffs in terms of candies and drinks and things like that that will heal you even mid-battle, which is pretty fun. But the battles that you'll get into are also training you on how to use your special moves and how to deal with moment-to-moment conflict as you want to stretch out and play into Battle Hub mode or in Fighting Ground and really kind of test your mettle there. And that's what those other 2 modes are really about. World Tour is absolutely an experience to just kind of lose yourself in and put a smile on your face. It's very goofy. You're going to be fighting Roombas and drones, and there'll be all kinds of external sort of environmental elements that will drop onto your head or bounce into the fight. People will be throwing knives at you or Molotov cocktails, and you'll just have to contend with that. And of course, sometimes you get swarmed by a bunch of different enemies and you have to battle your way out of there. And you'll also enter tournaments, and you'll start to explore the other areas that are a part of Street Fighter 6 and meet the brand new cast members that are in this game as well. So I was just absolutely stunned by how much content is in World Tour mode, but also all of the goofy, smile on your face, total old school Capcom kind of fun that you get out of World Tour mode as well. Capcom absolutely could have just delivered that as some kind of separate Street Fighter Final Fight hybrid game standalone project, maybe embellished it and stacked in some more details. But as a pillar of what you get in the entirety of the experience, it's astounding. It's so crazy fun. And Battle Hub is pretty damn sweet as well, because not only are you able to kind of meet and socialize with different players from around the world, and you can build a club and take part in the Capcom Fighters Network in there, and you can also jump into old retro Capcom cabinets like Final Fight and other classic arcade games from Capcom's history, which is incredible. And I honestly didn't spend tons and tons of time in Battle Hub. It wasn't super populated with people in my early play review time. It was just a bunch of journalists and other YouTubers and stuff like that from around the world. So I did hop in, I did have a couple of battles, I did play some retro stuff, but I know that this is going to be a mode that is going to come to life when the game is launched and fully available out there. And I also wasn't able to kind of test netcode and see if there was any lag issues or any of that stuff. The matches that I had, it felt like it was one-to-one. It felt great to me. So I think that this is something that people will be diving into and scrutinizing a lot more when the game launches. But from what I played, Battle Hub is going to be ridiculously cool. You're also taking the avatar that you made in World Tour mode and jumping into matches there as well. And when you build a club, you can customize outfits and stuff. There's so much material with Battle Hub as well. It's a really robust part of the whole Street Fighter 6 experience. And then Fighting Ground, you're talking about story modes for each of the different characters, and you can have up to 5 matches or 12 matches. You get to meet the new cast members, like Kimberly, who I love. She's got spray paint cans in her hands, and she listens to music on her Walkman. Great moves, great sense of sass, great attitude. I'm loving Kimberly. There's also Lily, who's part of T-Hawk's Thunderfoot tribe, and she's got these clubs that she can whip around, and she's got all of these incredibly fast spinning aerial moves. A lot of fun to play as her. Luke was introduced to Street Fighter V, and he's a central character in the story mode and World Tour mode, but he's got a pretty fun energy about him as well. He's an interesting character to play. There's also Jamie, who's kind of a drunken master kung fu guy with a beautiful moveset, very artistic, very elaborate. Really love the way that he splashes damage all across the screen. He's a lot of fun to play. There's Marisa, who's super big, super powerful. She's got helmet hair, and she's kind of like on the other end of a seesaw with Zangief, you know, like old school Greek martial arts moves that feel very wrestly. She's fun to play. Not my favorite of the characters. And then there's also Manon, who's kind of this model dancer character with super flashy flourishes in her moveset as well. I'm not crazy about Manon in the play of it, but a super interesting character to add to the roster for sure. And JP, who is the big bad in the game, has got all of this dark energy, and he's got his flowing long hair and his cane and stuff. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he's fun to play. But out of the new characters, definitely my new favorites are Kimberly, I like Jamie, and I like Lily quite a bit as well. So good additions to the roster there, which is 18 characters at launch, and then there's going to be some DLC down the road. Of course, Ryu is in there, and Ken is in there, and Cammy, and Chun-Li, and E-Honda, and Blanca, and all kinds of favorite world warriors that you know from the Street Fighter franchise. All of the characters, too, that we know from the past have been aged up a little bit. They've got new details, and when you're fighting with these characters in the middle of battle, you'll see damage start to happen across their faces and bodies and stuff like that. They've also introduced not just all of this artistic design and production design and sort of this new slant with these color splashes across the screen, which are really cool. Those are part of the new drive mechanics, which are really about changing up the timing and utilizing all of the meters to best effect, so you can do awesome counters and really powerful strikes to chip away at your opponent's health bar. And there are some incredible stackable super arts moves and all kinds of powerful, beautiful flourishes on screen. This is just a spectacular looking video game. It moves super fast, it's super fluid and really fun and accessible to play. And Capcom has doubled down on that by giving you different types of control options in there. Of course, you could play the classic options where it's a 6-button fighting game. If you're using a DualSense pad or a gamepad, you're using the trigger buttons as part of that suite of 6. I plugged in a fighting stick, it didn't work. I don't have a PlayStation 5 skewed fighting stick. I don't review and dive deep into fighting games enough to have invested in one of those. This game really made me want to have one, though. I really wanted to plug in something and play this like a classic arcade experience. But I was fine using the DualSense. I did default more to the modern controls, which have been made for people that are new to this franchise or they just want to simplify their experience with it. It does remove some of the granular options that you have when you play with classic controls, but it does make pulling off some of those flashy drive moves and special moves a lot easier. I found playing with the modern controls really fun. I did find that in World Tour mode, because you're cruising around in these 3D spaces, that I was bouncing from the analog thumbstick to the digital thumbstick. And that was a little bit weird and a little bit awkward. I didn't want to fight with the analog thumbstick when I was in a 2D kind of space, and I didn't want to run around with the D-pad when I was in 3D space. So you have to kind of tune into that when you're playing in World Tour. But when you're playing the traditional stuff, I was using the D-pad and I was using the face buttons, and I was figuring things out and getting better at it and having fun and definitely learning from the battles and stuff that I was getting into in World Tour mode and taking some of those skills back into Fighting Ground. And it's just a great, very smart, very cohesive connection across all of these different modes, which is really cool. Another cool thing that they added into this game experience is they've recorded actual esports commentators, and you can choose which kind of collection of them you want in the matches that you're getting into. And there's some really cool, effective bits in there. I will say that this is the first time that something like this has been put into a Street Fighter game, and it feels a little bit like that. Like there's a little bit of hesitancy, and you're going to hear some quips and some commentary repeated a little bit, but it's so ambitious and so cool because when it works, when you find that, insanity on screen is being echoed by the commentary in real time by live people that have recorded this stuff, it does definitely heighten the experience. And I was really happy that that was put in there. Man, there is a lot more to this game. There's a lot more to dig into. You know that this is going to be a Street Fighter game that people are going to be playing for the next several years. There's going to be so much stuff to mine. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this game. I have been blown away. I've been blown away since a lot of these features were revealed. And as cool as the features are, you really just shove them away and you get lost in the play of this game. It's so addictive and so fun, and certainly there's that RPG kind of hook, especially in the World Tour mode where you just want to keep getting better and you're grinding and grinding, but the grinding are Street Fighter battles where all of these cool moves are happening, and then you're doing all your character customization based on the loot and the adventuring that you're doing. And I love all of these Capcom humorous touches throughout this whole experience. The game doesn't take itself seriously. Like the fact in Fighting Ground, there's an element where you can adjust everything and make it more of a party type of experience, and you can have bulls crossing the screen and you got to jump out of the way of them and you got to knock down your opponent before the bull knocks you down. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. There's so much in this game. Capcom has killed it. I absolutely think this is going to be one of those games that we're talking about at the end of the year for best of 2023. It's crazy though that this has come out right in the shadow of Tears of the Kingdom and the atom bomb that it has dropped across the industry. Like everybody is still buzzing on the latest Zelda game, including myself, and I gave that game a 10 out of 10. I think if I was playing this game in any other time, it would get to a 10 out of 10, just because of the sheer value and the sheer amount of fun in this. But in the shadow of Tears, honestly, I feel a little bit weird giving out another 10 right here, but it's right in there, man. It's between a 9 and a 10 from my vantage point, so I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.